suppose I were to tell you I had never had sex with my girlfriend Melissa, not even once.
I never had, like, sex with any of them.
Just open that. Keep rolling. Suppose I were to tell you I had never had sex with my girlfriend Melissa, not even once. How would you in the audience react to this news? I think a lot of you would say that's a fake relationship. All this stuff you've been doing on YouTube, talking about breaking up and getting back together, it's all fake. Now, why? Why would you say that? Why would you feel that way? You've seen all kinds of things you know to be real. Like I forced my girlfriend to read Aristotle, and then she made YouTube videos talking about the philosophy of Aristotle from ancient Greece. And then eventually, years later, we actually flew to Greece and we spent time together in Athens. Isn't that romantic? Isn't that so? What? We read philosophy together. We make YouTube videos talking about politics together. We went to Greece. That's not real enough for you? Sexuality. It's not just the realest thing in our lives. It's this primitive, ancient instinct we're all still in touch with, living in the 21st century, living lives that so much exist on the internet and through keyboards and through cell phones, right? It's this raw instinct, as real as fear or what else we got? That's it. Fear, love, maybe hunger, okay? We're quite alienated from our instincts, except for this one. We're all in touch with our sexuality, and there's this really strong sense we all have, if there's no sex, it isn't real. So sex, it's not just worth talking about because it's part of reality, but it almost becomes the criterion for reality itself. Like our sense of realness is connected to it, all right? There is this girl, Katerino. Her name has been dragged through the mud by a bunch of guys who vaguely claimed that they had a relationship with her. But it turns out not a single one of those men actually had sex with her.
Of course it was going to happen, right? Like, I don't know. It felt inevitable.
Was it going to happen though? Like before? Okay, how did Carson find out? Like once you had sex with Fitz, who told him? How do you find out? Like Fitz told him? Did you tell him?
No. Mizkif told him.
Like how did this get through all these people? Like what's happening? Like well, okay. First of all, what was the time span like? When did you have sex with Fitz and cheat? And then when did Carson find out? Well, how long was it? Months, weeks, days?
I have vaginismus. I never had like sex with any of them.
What? You didn't have sex with Fitz?
This is really uncomfortable to talk about, bro.
Wait, you didn't have sex with Fitz?
You're good. You're very boom, boom, boom with the questions. I'm impressed.
Sorry, yeah. I mean, did you have sex with Fitz or?
I don't want to go into detail,
okay.
But what I will say is that I have vaginismus. Okay.
What is that? Vaginismus? Christmas? What?
Vaginismus is like, yeah. So basically,
if you think about the economics and the ethics of pornography, you're talking about paying someone enough money to cope with the embarrassment of exposing their body, exposing their face, exposing themselves to public opprobrium, to public disapproval. And if you read interviews with porn stars, they often talk about things like going to the bank being very unpleasant, standing in a lineup at the bank being very unpleasant. So you're paying someone enough money to put up with that for the rest of their lives, for the next 20 years, however long it is until they're famous. It's going to be something. How much do you have to pay someone to live with this for the rest of their lives? Think about what was exposed for this young woman, all right? It's not just that she had sex with a bunch of guys. It's then revealed that she never had sex with any of them, that she has some kind of crippling anxiety disorder, that she actually suffers spasms and convulsions when she's in bed with a man that make it impossible for her to have sex with him. And in this noxious context of all these guys claiming they had sex with her, all these guys apologizing for having had sex with her, as if by having sex with her, they were leading her to cheat on this guy Carson, who she never even had a relationship with. How much do you have to pay someone for them to live that down? You know, and I mean, pornography, the impacts on people's lives are tremendous, but they can know that in advance and they can sign up for it. Who signed up for this? Who signed you know what I mean? Was this consensual? This really peculiar kind of humiliation that's ended up happening to this young woman, and that these young men, like, frankly, they seem to thrive on. They seem to be they seem to be eager to just kind of build their social media presence and their notoriety by lining up to brag that they were allegedly one of the 7 guys who slept with when none of them did.
All right, who has the biggest penis? Let's do it.
Me.
Come on, man, that's not content. For the content, please.
For the content?
Yeah, make it.
For the content?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's hard to say. I think the person with the biggest was probably...
Oh, man, I was really beat.
Sorry, my internet went out.
I mean, I understand monetizing humiliating someone. You can make money humiliating Donald Trump. I get it. You can make money humiliating Kanye West. There are plenty of people to be... This is a very intimate... I really don't have the words. I mean, to do this to someone where you really misrepresent who they are and what their relationship was with you on this most private, intimate basis. So I just say, I think there's a really meaningful sense in which this is much more evil much more disturbing than conventional pornography.
Because I was sexually abused as a kid, and a lot of shame came from that. Like, I remember, this is stupid. I mean, it's not, but it's silly, I guess. I have this memory of when I was a kid and I was looking at these like apples to apples cards, and I was like probably like 7 or 8 or something. And when I was sexually abused, I was like, it was from like 4 to 6. It was like for a couple years. And I was looking at this like apples to apples card, and it said pure. And I remember thinking, I looked at it and I was like crying, thinking that I'm not pure and I'll never be pure because of what happened to me. And I guess that memory just sticks in my head of like shame, feeling ashamed for something that I didn't ask for, Yeah.
She has established in a series of interviews there were 4 men involved in total, including her boyfriend, who she was in a committed monogamous relationship with. And she never had sex with any of them. Not the boyfriend she was cheating on, and not the 3 other men. Now, in the audience, you didn't know that. The other people offering commentary didn't know that. But the men who denounced her as a cheater and a whore and a slut and who dragged her name through the mud with just a little bit of misogyny, they knew that. Carson was himself engaged in a kind of fraud. He knew this was a fake relationship. He was packaging it to his audience and so on. She confirms that. He confirms that. This was an act they put on his channel. He caught feelings. He got obsessed. He got out of his depth. Whatever you want to say. But Carson, homie, that's on you. You never slept with her. I've got to say, looking back now, I wish I'd trusted my instincts. I mean, the vibe I got and the interpretation I had when this was first breaking was that these guys are all a bunch of losers, and none of them actually had sex with her. That was really what I thought. And, I don't know what it is. I mean, I find myself in this situation on the internet from time to time. Back when the pro-Jared scandal broke, immediately I jumped on it. I offered my interpretation. In that case, it was all in writing, so you could put together the bits and pieces. But I said, no, all these other people are wrong. Here's what really happened. And I felt confident enough in my reading the situation to say that. And also, what I had to say was fundamentally kind of sympathetic and understanding and helpful. It wouldn't sound mean. In this case, I didn't want to jump on this story and say, no, these guys are a bunch of losers, and everyone in this story is basically a virgin, and none of them had sex with each other. So what are the implications of dragging this girl's name through the mud?
And I feel like I'll never be the same. I feel like I have, the Scarlet Letter, the book?
Uh-huh.
I feel like I have, an A on me forever.
Do you feel like you were destined to hurt people because you are tainted?
No.
To some extent, she dragged her own name through the mud, right? When you know she didn't have sex with any of these 4 men.
I accepted these labels. I accepted that I was a liar, that I was a cheater.
What does cheating mean? I mean, this is a situation in which she consciously and intentionally had a fake relationship with Carson, right? But then we all just were willing to presume that there was some other real relationship to contrast to that, whether that was a relationship with Fitz, with the unnamed original boyfriend, or what, right? It's like a series of Russian dolls. Each one is hollow as you open it, and there's another one just as hollow underneath. There was nothing real. And this is clout chasing with the real victim. You're really defaming this girl.
Oh, it's so hard being Katerino's ex.
My perspective was, look, she had a fake relationship with Carson. So if she went and slept with Fitz, however unimpressive or underwhelming that relationship must have been, at least that was something real, right? Like that's her, like it's not really cheating. That's her turning her back on a fake relationship for the sake of a real relationship, even if that relationship didn't work out or proved to be short term, or you know what I mean, nobody was satisfied. But now what are we talking about? We're talking about a situation where it's one fake relationship contrasted to another. And what are we supposed to make of these guys? These guys who lined up to make public apologies in which they're basically lying on their dick. They're basically asking you to feel sorry for them as they apologize to you for having encouraged this girl to have cheated on Carson, which was a fake relationship to begin with. And self-consciously so. Like, she and Carson have both articulated they knowingly put on an act for their audience and misled the viewing public. So there's no way to cheat on that. You can't, sorry, it's just like you can't steal something if it doesn't exist in the first place. You can't dilute an empty glass. There's nothing there to be diluted, right? There was no relationship with Carson to cheat on. So Fitz, what were you apologizing for? What were you planting your flag and what were you staking a claim to? It's bizarre.
Well, it's a physical thing too, but I think it's caused by mental stuff usually. But how my therapist and I have talked about it is like, I guess it is a physical thing too, because we talked about it like when you're, sexually abused and it's like muscle tension there. Basically, it's kind of hard to explain. It's like a mental thing where basically vagina broke, it don't work.
This is way beyond conventional defamation. Making a sport out of humiliating her for something she didn't even do with one man. And, saying it was 7 guys, saying it was 9 guys and all this stuff, right? Just not even one. And this is a group of young men, each of whom were trying to climb the social ladder of fame, including that guy who had a music channel and made the song about it, right? Out of what? You're trying to get famous out of humiliating this girl for cheating on a guy she never had a relationship with another guy she never even had sex with. I mean, this is only 2020. You think this is going to stop? Like, do you think in the next 10 years this isn't going to happen again? Like, if people know they can make money, achieve fame and money through these kinds of antics, if this is an established path to fame, some people are going to line up for it, and other people are going to, carry out this kind of prank on others, willingly or unwillingly. Look, I'm sorry, we began this video laughing, but it's dark. It's really dark. What am I going to tell you? I talk about sex because for me in my life, it represents something real, okay? And I don't know, man. It doesn't matter if you've had only one sexual partner or 10 or 100 sexual partners. I think for all of us, that remains a kind of touchstone of something real. And you know what? Even the people who become alcoholics and have sex with complete strangers when they're drunk, I think that's part of why they need to get drunk before they can sleep around with strangers, is to get some distance. It's a little bit too real. So drugs and alcohol become an essential part of sleeping around with people where you don't have any trust, you don't have any respect, you may not even feel attracted to them. You know what I mean? Like, the inescapable realness of human sexuality is also something we can struggle with and try to escape from. To me, I've got to say there is something much more disturbing about this than good old-fashioned pornography.